Has public education sacrificed creativity for science? Join us as we discuss the importance of arts education next on Views and Vibes. According to the 2009-2010 snapshot of arts education, 88% of elementary schools nationwide include the arts in their curriculum. 94% offer music instruction, 83% offer visual arts instruction, but only 3% offer dance and 4% offer theater. And on average, the majority of these schools only offer these courses once a week. Can you imagine if a school only offered math or science once a week? And during hard economic times, funding for arts education is often the first thing threatened. Why have the arts been so strongly devalued? Here to help me break down the importance of arts education, we have the Education Director for Young Audiences, Arts for Learning, Ms. Patricia Cruz, the Artistic Director for Dance Dimensions, Ms. DaKiya Lambert, and Edutainer, Creative Concierge, and Hip Hop Insurgent at notarapper.com, Mr. Bomani Armah. Welcome to Views and Vibes, everyone.
Hi, how are you?
Glad to have you guys here. So Patricia, let's start off with you. Where does arts education fit into the overall curriculum of the everyday school system?
Well, it's gotten worse through the years with the focus on science, technology, and math with STEM, and the focus on the test. More and more schools are decreasing or cutting the arts positions in the schools. Some counties are better than others, but in our work, when we travel all over the state, we're seeing that these positions are being cut to part-time or no time at all, and our students aren't getting any arts in their curriculum.
Are they even getting them once during the week, or are they even less now?
Some are once during the week. Most, the good ones, are once a week, which is still, not enough. And then there are a lot of middle schools and high schools that have none at all. Wow,
wow. Bomani, what about arts education overall? Why is it so important that our students actually get more background in the arts?
Right, well definitely for no other reason than to be able to think creatively. A whole bunch of different organizations hire me to come in and do creative writing workshops with young people, especially in the schools where the art programs have been almost chopped completely out. And so what they do is they get some grant money and bring me in. And one of the most shocking things that happens to me when I come in is I give out an assignment, and I basically tell the students, what do you think should go there? And I told them at the beginning of the class that the only wrong answer in my class is a blank answer. That they can't, since it's an opinion, since it's being creative, I just want you to say something. And even after saying that, I'm surprised at how many students are like, I'll give them a simile question with a blank answer, and they'll be like, I don't know what goes there.
Really?
Or like, I'm not sure what the right answer is. I'm like, whatever you say is the right answer. And they're like, whoa. And they're completely blown away with the idea that they can be a driving force behind something, that they can be creative. And even in science and technology and math, like, it needs creativity. No matter how much factual knowledge you have on the subjects. We didn't have cell phones until we dreamed about them in Star Trek first.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So we have to be able to be creative, and if you take that element away from students, then you're really just setting them up to do stuff where they're just punching cards or something like that, which is not what I want for the young people that I'm working with, at least not, for their entire lives.
Now, when we're looking at the statistics, DaKiya, you saw that only 3% of elementary schools nationwide are including dance in the curriculum. Why is dance so significant, and why do you think that they're not actually including dance in the elementary school arts curriculums?
Well, dance has so many different benefits. First, there's, of course, the physical fitness. As we know, our nation is severely obese in comparison to other countries in the world. So the physical fitness is the #1 thing. Also, there's the discipline that the kids are receiving. They're learning how to, pay attention, how to interact with others. They're gaining self-esteem and how to present themselves. They're learning how to stimulate their nerves. I have students that we've learned full choreography, full pieces in 2 hours, and they're performing it in 3 days. That type of, picking up comprehension things and picking things up quickly translate into the classroom as well. So they're able to present themselves. They're getting the esteem and the confidence to go on stage and say, hey, this is me. I am worthy of your attention. I'm worthy to be here, and that translates in life in general.
And so we know there's so many benefits that you can receive from arts, whether it is creativity and everything that we're saying here.
Right.
So why has it been so devalued? Why are they taking, if anything has to go, why is it arts that has to go first?
I totally agree. The focus and the perseverance, those kinds of skills are so important, and they are undervalued because I think one is lack of knowledge, of ignorance by the administrators, the powers that be. They think that they're being held accountable because of the test, and so they're focusing on that test and they're letting go of things that are equally, if not more important for those students. Actually, there's a group that got together, the Partnership for 21st Century Skills, and it's created by education leaders and Fortune 500 companies like IBM and Apple, because they're concerned with the fact that people are graduating and they do not have the creativity, the higher level thinking that they need to work in the jobs that we have available today, and that's why they're going outside of our country in order to find employees. So this focus on 21st century skills, which is creativity, cultural awareness, critical thinking, these are collaboration, things that naturally the arts address, has been lost. And hopefully through this partnership and through this connection between arts organizations and scientists, we can bring that back because it's really needed in our education system.
And can I, to join in on what you're talking about there, another thing that I see a lot of students are missing is even the basic knowledge and understanding of brainstorming. Like I worked with some kids that didn't know what the concept was, and then when I worked with them, they was like, oh yeah, I get it. And even though you might not brainstorm in math and science in grade school, like if you're going to take it to the next level, you got to be able to have a whole bunch of people in a room and y'all go back and forth with ideas. And they're not getting that at all in the classes where they're just learning how to read the book, where they're just learning how to take the notes. And they will get it in an arts class. They will definitely get it if they're doing a play, because everyone has to discuss what the emotions are. And that skill is transferable to science and technology and math when you get a group of people together trying to be creative.
So do you think that they are isolating students more by having to focus on math and science, where they're not having a chance to collaborate? And do you think that's almost by design? Because it seems like they have so much time to focus only on this one thing that they don't have a chance to, focus on arts or anything like that. Is that really the way that it seems like the curriculum is being designed, or do you think it's just a byproduct of
I think the administrators are in a tough spot. Like, I mean, as much as I hate seeing art being cut out of schools, math and science in our schools is also doing really bad. And as a country, we are falling behind other countries in our ability to produce things on those levels. So maybe instead of cutting something out, it's about extending either the year, or not necessarily the day, but something, like being able to keep what we have as far as English and art and creativity and dance and stuff like that, and doing math and science. It shouldn't have to be an either or.
All right, well, we have to actually go to a break real quick. When we come back, I want to talk more about the comparisons between STEM and the arts and why STEM seems to be getting all the focus as opposed to the arts. So we'll be right back, and we'll see you after the break. All right, welcome back to Views and Vibes. We are talking about the importance of arts education, and I wanted to get into talking about the STEM. Was it science, technology, engineering, and math? Such a great focus of our national attention right now is on STEM projects, and it seems like they're the only ones getting money. I think I saw a statistic where the Department of Education is giving $300 million in STEM grants, specifically just for STEM education. Why, when you look at everything we're talking about here, and DaKiya, I want to talk to you specifically, why does it seem like the engineering, you have an engineering background, why is the engineering so much more important than, say, the dance?
Well, I am an engineer by day, dance teacher by night.
What a great balance you have.
I know, left brain, right brain, they all work together.
Right.
But as Bomani said, our nation is behind not only in the arts, but in science, math, technology, engineering, everything. So I can understand the focus of wanting to push it. However, for me growing up, I started dancing when I was 3 years old, and I do believe that the arts and dance helped me to excel so much in engineering.
In what ways?
Math.
In what ways? People often say that, I've heard people say that, even though they work in math or science, that they don't see the importance of arts. Well, how did the two help you?
Well, number one, the focus. My students and all the students in dance are always very focused because they have to think about the mind and body in one thing. Also, the discipline there. Dance always taught me that if this is the box, you want to be around the corner.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So we're outside of the box. So when I got into engineering classes, we're creating computer programs. I'm designing code. And while all the other students are trying to think of this plus this equals this, I'm like, well, how about if I go a different way around? And what if I can tweak this a little bit, tweak that a little bit to make it still work, but make it different? I always wanted to stand out. Maybe that's the dancer in me, always wanting the attention.
Right.
But I always wanted to be different than everybody else in the class. So my code was always different than their code. And I was able to stand out. My teachers noticed. I was able to get other projects, and I always got, you know, good grades. I always excelled in school because I was always taught, if this is the box, you're over there. You know what I mean? So that creativity to be able to, you know, think critically and be creative and come up with creative solutions to a normal problem helped me to excel.
Right. And Pat, with your program, Young Audiences, when you go into the schools, you have a chance to have the students do different arts-related projects. Have you seen a difference between the students who are part of your program and how they're performing in the art and in the sciences compared to people who are not?
Well, you know, we try to do some research and to study that, but it's been a struggle because we're in the schools on usually very limited basis. But you know, there's a famous quote by Einstein that said creativity is more important than intelligence. Right. Because, you know, a computer can memorize facts, but to take those facts and to apply it, to transfer it in new situations and use things in new ways.
That's actual knowledge. That's what knowledge is called.
Yeah, right. That's right. Knowledge is more important than creativity. And so that is, you know, where that artistic mind comes in. So many times I work with artists who have a science background. And, you know, the best scientists do have an artistic background because you need that innovative thinking, that critical thinking that really pushes us forward, pushes the envelope and gets us to, you know, the beautiful Mac or whatever is the next best thing. Right.
Bomani, when you work with students, do you find that they are going more towards arts and further away from the sciences, as opposed to, you know, the opposite way around?
Definitely. I mean, arts does give you an opportunity to imagine that you're somebody. Like we think in this culture, artists are important. You know what I'm saying? Whether you're painting, whether you're dancing, whether you're an MC. I teach creative writing classes. Do stuff like compare Langston Hughes and Lil Wayne. Right. And it's really cool. Like the kids really get into it. And then what's great, I just had this like aha moment the other day for a student. I was trying to show him how to count bars. We were freestyling bars. And I counted it out for him. And he was like, oh, it's 4 times 4. I was like, yes. I was like, music is math. And he was just like, whoa. And that completely, you know, helped them. And the more they understand that, like the most complex music is the most complex math. And all the, you know, all the way to the simple thing. And it also helps because it doesn't matter how great the scientific project that you make is. If you haven't found a way to creatively articulate it to other people, you can't go anywhere with it.
But in saying that, though, knowing that students would be naturally more attracted to arts and science, don't you think that one of the reasons why they push the STEM so much is because they know that students will generally turn away from that as opposed to turning, you know, to turning towards it? Why would it be more important to bring arts into the equation when we know that students naturally are artists? They can work, you know, work their way through that. When it comes to the science and the maths, they are staying away from it.
Right. Not necessarily. From my studio, I have about 250 students. I would say only maybe 25% of those actually want to pursue careers in the dance field. For them, dance is more so an outlet, a creative expression where they can kind of, you know, be a physical journal for themselves, or they're able to, you know, have fun while exercising. Their mom's like, oh, you need to get out, you need to do something. They don't want to run laps, nothing against track, but they want to dance. It's a fun way to exercise. So I think that even though that you incorporate the arts into your curriculum, it doesn't necessarily mean that that will be your career. However, like I said before, it can always assist your career.
But, you know, we actually have had more and more school systems call us because they want to have these STEM camps for students, but they want the artists to come to motivate the kids to come because they know the kids aren't going to come if it's just a STEM camp. And what has happened is that the artists are working with the science teachers and incorporating those skills together so that it's application of knowledge, whether it be for science or arts. And if they can do that in a combined way that helps the kids to use creative skills as well as their science skills, then it's giving the student the best of both worlds.
Now, how do you communicate that to administrators as well as parents? you know, that this is a needed subject area, and how do you show them that, you know, how the two can, you know, connect and bridge those gaps, those learning gaps?
I know for me, the arts, a lot of times being able to put science and math in the arts is putting medicine in the sweet potatoes. You know what I'm saying? Like, in order to get grants with one of the organizations I work with, Words Beats in Life, we get a lot of STEM-related grants. And so one of the things we do is we show our funders, and then we use, I mean, I'm glad they made us do it because it was good for the kids.
Right.
My students know how the microphone works. They understand how sound waves works, because we know, and that's completely a part of the creative process, but it's completely about technology and engineering and science. And so we have to, if you can meld the two of them together, it takes creativity on the part of the teacher to be able to do it.
Right.
But if you can meld the two of them together, the students are learning stuff and don't even notice it.
Yeah, same way with dance. We're teaching the kids, you know, physics as far as, you know, how much force they need to put in to make a triple pirouette clean, how much momentum they need to execute a switch leap, you know, so they're still learning dance, but still learning engineering. I'm teaching them about their center of gravity, their core, how they're going to, you know, be able to balance, but without holding your core and your center of gravity, it's impossible. So they're learning both while they're still having fun.
But artists need to make that explicit for the administrators and the teachers to see it.
Right.
I always encourage our artists to post that up on the wall. If you're doing science, you're doing physics, write your objective on the wall so they can see it. So they're walking in and they're not just seeing drum playing, but they're seeing the physics of drumming. We have to do our best to educate the people we're working with about what we're working on. And we actually connect with teachers so that the teachers are learning alongside the artists and they see the connection.
When we come back from the break, I want to focus more on how you can implement those, the curriculum, arts curriculum, into the science and math so that the teachers can actually see how it works, all right? We have to take a quick break. We'll see you in 2 minutes. All right, welcome back to Views and Vibes. We'll continue this discussion about the importance of arts education and its implementation, and that's what I want to talk about specifically. How do you begin to implement these arts curriculums into the current state of education? Anybody?
Well, I think the great thing is that the President's Committee on Humanities and the Arts actually just put out a report about the importance of the arts in the schools. And they have 5 recommendations, and the first 3 have to do with teaching artists in the schools. It's working more with teaching arts in schools, using arts integration, integrating the arts with other subject areas for mutual education, and then also training teaching artists and teachers together collaboratively. And I think that's one of the keys to really create change in the schools. My vision is that we have schools not just with teachers in the room, but every teacher has an artist in the room with them. So we're really giving our kids the full spectrum of what they're learning, the education side, and they're learning the real world application.
So how do you actually articulate this to an administration?
I think that it takes organizations like PATS to go in and just educate the administrators to let them know that all kids do not learn the same way. Some kids are able to learn by reading the book. Some kids are able to learn by hearing the teacher speak a lecture. Some kids have to get up and do it, you know. So I think that we have to just make sure that everybody is aware that every child is not the same. What works for one child is not going to work for the other. And the arts, whether it be theater, music helping them with their math skills, dance helping them with their physical fitness and their creative and their critical thinking, drama helping with their public speaking and their self-esteem and their presentation, how these things can actually benefit not only the creative expression of the child, but also the STEM knowledge as well.
But when you have, as an administrator, when you have these points that you have to hit, you know, in terms of grades and testing, how can you convince them that this works? I mean, there's only but so much time in the day in school, whether it's high school or elementary school. How do you convince them that this is a worthwhile thing? Well, you know, especially when they're so focused just on grades.
My least favorite and most important part of my career as an educating artist is lesson planning, is being able to code switch. Like, I can walk into a room of 13-year-olds and run the class just off of memory, just off of being an artist and interacting with them. But I've learned how to write the language that the administrators understand. As a matter of fact, I go out of my way to find lesson plans of other teachers who are already working in the schools that I'm working with if I'm trying to come in there. And I find the points that they like, and I find ways that what I do incorporates to, especially when it's dealing, I mean, since I do creative writing, you don't understand how many literary techniques that you use in essays and stuff like that are in music writing. And then once again, once I learned how important it was for me to descriptively talk scientifically about the equipment that we're using in order to bring their voices to life in the recordings that we're making, I was able to turn that into a lesson plan that makes complete sense. It's not me going to the principal and be like, yo, this would be so cool. They would like it so much the principal could care less about that.
Right. So how do you communicate that to, you mentioned working with teachers and teachers who are already trying to do that same thing, but what about those teachers who feel overwhelmed in the classroom and don't want to take on another project or don't want to learn anything new to help their students benefit in the classroom? How do you communicate that to those teachers?
Well, if you do what you've always done, you'll get what you always got.
Right.
You know, and apparently our testing scores haven't improved by introducing the STEM, so we're going to have to do something different.
Right.
So I think, like as she said, if we had like more teachers coming into the classroom to assist more artists coming into the classroom to assist the teachers, that would help. And then that would actually help the teachers because they can kind of have their own like planning time while the kids are getting another view of the same topic that the teachers are currently working on.
Right.
Well, we actually, at Young Audiences, we have several programs where we have artists and teachers working together. We have a training program that we do in partnership with the State Arts Council and Arts Education Maryland Schools, another nonprofit. It's called Teaching Artists Institute. And it's not, the great byproduct of this training is that it's actually helping change the minds of teachers and administrators.
Right.
Because when they work closely with us, they can, it's all about language, like you said, Bomani. The communication is what arts is all about. And if we can learn to use the education language to show them how we can connect and really add value to what the teachers need in the schools, then we can start changing minds. And what we've found is the teachers who are doing this program with the artists are becoming leaders themselves and are using this philosophy in their own schools. And we find that there's actually there is data out there of schools that have used arts integration and have increased test scores. So if they're interested in it, the data is there. It's a matter of getting to those teachers and getting to those administrators, because what they're doing is not working. There's actually just a study out today on Education Week that said high standards does not correlate with high student achievement.
Wow.
It's about the teaching.
And another thing that bringing arts into the class does, especially when the teacher, if not leading it, is co-facilitating it with the artist, is it humanizes the teacher and it helps build a rapport with the students. In order to do art, you have to talk about emotion, you have to talk about life, you have to tell stories. And that's a great way to bond with your students instead of pointing at numbers at the chalkboard all day. So when you finally go back to that, you know, they've at least seen a part of you as an artist and as a creative person. And that helps a lot as far as the morale of the classroom.
And you know, it helps the teachers too. Teachers don't like teaching to the test. They don't. They didn't get into teaching to be robots. And that's what they're asking teachers to be right now. And they are artists themselves in the craft of teaching, and they love what response we've gotten when our artists go into the classroom is that they're so happy to have this freedom again, to have this way of having the kids express themselves and teachers expressing themselves rather than being stuck to one curriculum and one way of doing things.
Okay. All right. Well, you guys, we actually have to wrap this up. Thank you so much for coming today and having such a great discussion. Hopefully a lot of people will get something from it. I would like to thank Patricia Cruz, Bomani Armah, and DaKiya Lambert for a great discussion today. You can also find out more information about my guests by going to our website at viewsandvibes.com. Until next time, I'm Tariiq Omari Walton, and this has been Views and Vibes.